Hey, I'm Dan Harris, and this is Beliefs. This week, we've got a woman who's come up with a new and creative way to make the case for atheism. She's written a novel. And we're going to sit down with the man who's been on the vanguard of the fight against what he calls a massive wave of Islamophobia that has spread across this country since 9/11. His job is difficult and dangerous. So, is this room used as a mosque, do you know?
Yeah, this is the main prayer hall, but they have another one downstairs.
I see.
So you can see it's beautiful and open.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Have you been here to pray many times?
No, just a few times.
Let me just start with there was some displeasure in your organization at our interview with Wafa Sultan.
Let it be in my day so that my child can live in peace. Islam is here. Let's deal with the evil of Islam now, right now, so our future generation can live in peace.
I just want to open the floor to you just to talk a little bit about what about that interview bothered you, and what about her message bothers you?
You know, from the beginning, we strongly believe in free speech. People are entitled to their opinions no matter how wrong they are. But when a person of this nature is interviewed and is not challenged, is not opposed, or there is no balance in the presentation, you feel that, something was missing. The racist remarks she made and the allegations that she leveled against Muslims as a whole defies logic, defies common sense, and the basic knowledge of people that I believe people learn about Islam, they know about Islam. She just reinforced stereotypes, and she just spread misinformation, and she was not challenged.
And she was not challenged. One of the knocks on Islam that you hear from critics, Wafa Sultan and others, is that there's an intolerance baked into the faith, of women, of people who may be infidels, who don't share your beliefs. You say that that's just dead wrong. Tell me about that.
It is dead wrong because Islamic history shows different than what people claim. The Quran, and it is the best answer is from the Quran. Otherwise, if you hear from someone else, they will say, okay, maybe he's just conveniently trying to spin the issue. The Quran emphasizes freedom of thought and freedom of religion. Let there be no compulsion in religion. This is a verse that comes straight from the Quran. Nobody can misunderstand it. Nobody can misinterpret it.
Let there be no compulsion in religion.
You cannot force people to believe and act.
And those are the words in the Quran.
These are the words in the Quran.
What do you think of the treatment of women in a place like Saudi Arabia, where you're not even allowed to drive?
You have to differentiate between culture and religion. And sometimes there's a big difference between the two. My understanding of my faith, and the majority of Muslims who believe in the faith, they know that women are not only protected, but they can be leaders in the Muslim world. When you look at Pakistan, Turkey, Bangladesh, there have been their leader Muslim women.
Now, I know, and I think a lot of people know, that in the history of Islam and Muslim civilization, there was an extraordinary embrace of modernity and a pushing forward of science. That said, we are at a point in history where it is often argued that there's a big chunk of the Islamic community that has deep and profound problems with modernity. What is your take on that?
I believe the majority of Muslims, and historically Islam, has pushed for modernity. In Islam, there is no contradiction between faith and reason. In Islam, in fact, there is a harmony between evolution and creation. Probably it's different than maybe other faiths.
We are coming up now on the 9th anniversary of September 11th. After September 11th, we heard a lot from your organization. I, as a reporter, actually did a lot of work with your organization on anti-Muslim violence, threats, and intimidation. Islamophobia is the term that I believe you use. Where are we now on this? Have things gotten better or worse since 9/11? Is your job easier or harder?
Our job is getting difficult every day.
More difficult?
More difficult. Although we see new tone in the new administration, we see a hand extended to the Muslim world around the world. We see a positive speech towards Muslims, a speech and a tone of reconciliation. But I believe the situation overall is getting worse. Islamophobia is being tolerated in the United States. I hardly see a major leader, whether clergy or political leader, who stands up and pushes against bigotry against Muslims.
You talked about the lack of convincing voices challenging Islamophobia. But even if that wasn't the case, even if the media were more responsible, because you believe the media are often irresponsible, even if our leaders were better on this issue than you would like, isn't your job just made difficult by the fact that the guys who flew those planes into the towers in 9/11 were Muslims, and by the fact that we are now at war in two Muslim countries? Wouldn't your work just be very, very difficult based on that alone?
It is difficult, but also it's important to recognize that the majority of Muslims organizations, including ours, leaders, clergy, in the United States and around the world, have condemned 9/11. In fact, I believe we were the first organization on the face of the earth to condemn 9/11. But months and years after that, we were always confronted on some national television shows. Where are the moderate Muslims? Where is the condemnation? Well, we say we did, but who's listening? Which network has displayed or communicated or shown our condemnation? I think our voices are somehow excluded and ignored because, as we say, if it bleeds, it leads. Maybe our statements are not music to the ear of people who are accustomed to seeing violence on television, but they do not see Muslim leaders coming to condemn this violence. We've been condemning violence, but we do not want to be defined by the condemnation of violence. There are 7 million Muslims in the United States. They are engineers, doctors, public servants, educators. They do great work to make America better every day. I'd like to see stories about these people. I do not want to see my faith, which has been hijacked by a very tiny minority in the world, to be defined by their acts, while the majority of us having to stand up and condemn the acts of the few.
I'm curious about you personally. As somebody who gets up in front of the cameras all the time defending Muslims in the United States, do you get threats?
Yes, I do, and we have been threatened many times. Unfortunately, when you accept this line of work, it's becoming part of your life, but I'm a strong believer in God. I have to do what my conscience asks me to do, and I believe I'm trying to make a difference. When I speak sincerely from my heart, I believe people listen, and I believe people believe what I say.
Our thanks to Nihad Awad. Up next, a book called 36 Arguments for the Existence of God. It is, improbably, a novel.